everyone, welcome to the follow-up from my last video. If you watched the last video, I was talking about how I kept a lot of my favourite sort of scraps of colour combinations together after I finished a project. Ends up looking like this. It's rather messy, but from this I can use the colour inspiration to get new ideas for new projects. So I thought in this video I would take you through the process of getting everything out and having a look at new colour combinations. So I've already done a little bit of the hard work for you just to give you an idea of how I would put it all together. And what I did was originally we started with, and if I show you the original card, the colour combination was this. So it was the pinks and the aquas and those kind of colours, and from that I pulled together these cards. And then I went ahead and started making different cards, different sort of sets of cards using that colour combination again. And so an example of that one is this card here, and there was a whole series of those as well. So I started adding new papers to this collection here, and as I sort of developed this collection of papers, I've moved on to other things. So this time I decided to pull the yellows out of this collection and have the yellows and pinks and green as the colour combination. So let's just put all of these scraps aside because I'm not using any of those, although I may go back to it just to finish off or punch embellishments or things like that. But I've had a bit of a go at trying to prepare some things so I can show you the process of putting it all together now. So the first thing I did was pull out sort of the yellow papers. So you can see I've got a couple of different yellow papers there, and I cut them to size and just started playing around with layering onto the cardstock that was all in this kit. I do go into my stash and pull out other supplies as I feel they need to come into this scrap bit of paper, but most of the time I rely on what's in here first and then go and get extras if I need to. So what I've done is actually started laying out some good colour combinations and just setting up the base card. So I did have this light coloured pink in my stash, and so I cut it in half to make two cards out of that. I have the white cards already, and I just used some of the papers that were already there. An example of pulling in a new piece is this one here, which I've decided I'm going to use on one of the cards, but it's just a small piece again. It's another scrap piece that I will use up rather than just letting it sit in the scrap box and go to waste. And I thought it mixed in well with those yellow tones, so I'm going to use that. This piece was already in that pack, but what I've gone and done is actually punch out or die cut out some love hearts because we've already got some love hearts left over, and so I'm die cutting extra love hearts to go with the project. So I've got my backgrounds already laid up and ready to go. I've got a few embellishments. The other thing I did, I've done this once on a card before and just thought I'd try it on this colour combination, is actually punch using the Knockouts scalloped punch the edges of a few scrap bits of paper, so it's a good way to use up scraps. And then what I'm actually going to do is layer those on top of each other using those yellows like that. Stick it down with double-sided tape, and then that will all be layered onto this background as well. Okay, so I might start with that first because that's the card I had a good idea this is what I wanted to do. If I can get that double-sided tape off would be a good start. So the idea with this is to choose coordinating papers but have a main colour theme. Now it doesn't matter if it doesn't, you're best off getting the punches fairly even as opposed to the edges, because you can always go back and trim the edges if necessary. So just layer those up like that and hopefully space it out fairly evenly with how you do it. Okay, and then the last one on there. See how I've punched this one a little bit crooked, so I'm just going to tilt the edge there. And it doesn't matter that they don't line up, because then I'm going to go in with my scissors and just cut. Just trim off the edge, otherwise you'll lose your scallop punches, and it is quite thick because there's many layers of paper there. trim it off and all of a sudden it looks nice and neat and straight. So just put the scraps away there, and then what we'll do is we'll flip it over and we'll actually stick this down onto our cardstock as well. So that was the new cardstock that I pulled in that we're going to use. Just a strip on the top and the bottom, and one down either side as well. Okay, and I'm not going to take you through all of the cards, I'm just going to show you the basics of some ideas. So this is an idea that I've used before. I used it on a square card rather than a rectangular card, so this is the first time I've tried it on a rectangular card, but you can see it's the colour combinations that I'm actually repeating in this set as opposed to the style of the card as such. So, and then what we would do is actually just trim this off nice and neat at the top in a straight line. The good thing about spotted paper is you can sometimes use the spots and just give a slight, I might choose that border actually, that, just give it a slight border all the way around. And then trim it down the sides as well. And then this one will get mounted. Actually, I just trim the edges off, change my mind on that one. And this one will get mounted onto here. Okay. This one needs a bit more trimming. Actually, let's just trim it at that section. And then it will get mounted onto there, and we'll put some ribbon or something around it to pretty that up. So that's that one there, and we will just set that aside for now in the interest of time. Okay, so I've got this strip here. And I've decided I'm going to do this card as a landscape, and so I'll be sticking that down on there like that. And I really wanted to use up some of these love hearts, so I pulled these ones out and I started playing around with these two. And then I decided actually we just need a little bit more on that one, so this is why I decided to die cut the bigger ones. So when I grabbed a bigger one and put that behind, go behind very well, try again. I thought, oh, I don't know if I quite like that, so then I decided to die cut a smaller one and have this combination of 3 smaller ones, and then just play around with the layering. So I think the pink one will probably look best at the back, and then maybe the other colours at the front. Okay, now I quite like that, but then I felt like it was sort of, needed a bit more. So I thought what I could do was actually, I've got some big rub-ons here that would be good to have a big sentiment across there, but I still thought it needed just a little bit more. So I put those to the side, and I've got myself some baker's twine there, and I'm actually going to select probably the green baker's twine and wrap it around the top there. So just to give you an idea of what that would look like, I'll probably do a few layers of that, so maybe 3, and twist it up, and then those love hearts will come in over the top of that using pop dots. Okay, and the big sentiment up the top, and I'm happy with that card. So then what I had was these other cards left over that I needed to have some kind of main embellishment on. So I started thinking about what I could do here. So I really liked this pretty paper, and so just having a look at which card it would best suit. So I quite like it on this one here. I think the pink matches in with the pink background. It may need something else behind it, but at this stage I'm going to sit it there like that. And potentially that one as well. So that then left me with this last card. I wasn't quite sure what to do with this one. I didn't want another love heart because I don't like my cards looking too similar, and I may even take one of these away. But then decided I'd make some kind of flower embellishment. So you've probably seen this done before, but I've die cut myself a little circle there, and I've got some washi tape that matches in with those tones. You could use any washi tape colour that you like. And then the idea is, starting from the outside edge of the circle, you start taping and bunching. So it's a little bit tricky because the washi tape is quite sticky, so give yourself a bit of leeway, and then you just start folding it over on top of itself. So sticking it down, folding it over, sticking it down, folding it over, and then spinning that circle around. Try not to get it to stick to your hand. Now you could use any coloured washi tape you like, or any pattern you like. I just thought I'd go with this pink one, seeing as we're using a lot of pink. But if you wanted it to stand out a little bit more on your card, you could use sort of a green, if you were using this colour combination, or even some of the black, or that darker sort of red, or a really dark pink. But I just decided to go with this one. And then once you get all the way around with that, and it doesn't have to be super neat, just needs to kind of fold in on itself a little bit. But once you get all the way around to the edge, we've still got this middle bit. So, and if you've got fingernails, I'll tell you to be careful not to tear your tape, as I just did. But once you make it all the way around the edge, once, if I can stop it from sticking to my hand, I just can't, is to start working your way into the centre of the circle. So make sure you cover up that bit that you started at, because it does look a bit, it's a torn edge, and then you just start working your way into the middle of that circle. And this is not a neat one because I'm kind of in a rush, just for the purposes of the video to show you. But you can make it as neat or as messy as you like. I quite like it messy, but probably not quite as messy as this. I'm just having trouble getting it to stick down. And so you just keep going around in a circle, and the more layers you do, the prettier it looks, as opposed to just kind of rushing it and finishing off your circle very quickly. But you can see the idea that starts to come of that, and then you just keep going. So the other thing is, I'd probably choose a washi tape that you're not amazingly fond of, because it does use a fair bit of tape. And I know I've seen the blank washi tape, so you could also colour your own washi tapes if you wanted to. That way you could do it any colour that you wanted to, and you don't have to have that particular toned washi tape that would work really well. So then what I would do is grab myself a fairly fancy kind of brad. So in the interest of showing you for the video, I'll just grab a big one that I have, and you can see that effect that you would have. I don't know if you can see that on there, but then that could go on there as well. And then it's a matter of just, you know, getting some more baker's twine or ribbon or something like that, and starting to put embellishments across the edge there. So actually I had that leftover ribbon in this pack that I showed in the last video, so potentially we could, you know, tie a bow and have a much neater one, but have the bow there or something like that. And so you start layering like that, and you've just taken things out of that bag that we originally set up and bringing new supplies into it. So hopefully that will give you a bit of an idea of how you can reuse old supplies and get inspiration from those old supplies as well. And what I might do is, once I've put all these cards together, I will share a photo of that on the webpage as well. Alright, thanks for watching.